Hi, I'm Tom Spellman. I'm here at the Epic Garden in San Diego with my friend Kevin.
How's it going, Tom?
Kevin, good to see you today. We had talked a little bit about this dwarf apricot tree that you have, and you want to do a little corrective work on it, I think?
I think so. I mean, the story of this tree, Tom, is it was really the only stone fruit tree on the property when I first moved in, and I tried to save it. It worked, but now I almost feel like it's worked a little bit too well, because when I look at it, my mind goes honestly a little bit blank. It looks crazy, and I'm struggling a little bit with how to prune it.
So it is a little bit crazy, but honestly, you've got it sized down wonderfully.
That's the one thing I did, is I did do your sort of summer pruning cut.
I can see where you made some summer cuts. You took 3 or 4 feet out of the top, but you know, it's a little busy down here in the inner structure.
So yeah, Tom, the question I have here is, how do I get this back under control? I did take some of that summer height down,
right,
following that summer pruning guide that you put out, but now I see a lot of new growth, a lot of old growth, a lot of dead crossing growth, and frankly it's a little overwhelming.
So the first thing we need to do is look for issues, look for crisscrossing branches, look for the areas where the growth is too thick. So what I want to do right here is just make a couple of cuts so that I can get into the center a little bit.
Taking that guy off.
That.
And this is just more of an access prune.
This is really just access. This is just so that I can get in there and take a look at everything else. So some of this stuff is just too low, so we can take that off. It's going to be down in the shade. It's never going to give you a reliable crop of fruit.
Okay.
So then we want to do a little cleanup. This is young growth, but there's a lot of other growth in its place. So we don't need that.
Yeah, that's interesting because it started low and it really shot up.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need that.
This is all growing back in toward the center, so kind of interruptive here.
So you're coming off and you're taking that whole chunk out.
Yeah.
Big one.
Get in there and get a better bite on it.
There we go. Yeah, see that, even this right here taught me something. It's taking it flush when you have all this random growth coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got some extra growth in here. Let's take that out.
Get that out of there. While you're doing that, I'll do what I know, which is dead, crossing, sort of centrally located, non-productive stuff.
Now, having good equipment, Kevin, makes a big difference on how you do this. So, you know, I love these Felco pruners. You've got Felco 2s. These are the big 22 loppers, but you know, you can really get in and get a bite and get some work done with those.
So when you see, Tom, something like this branch here I've obviously made some height cuts here, some horizontal cuts to keep the spread out. But to me, I look at this and it looks so unruly in this area where I get confused. I look at this, I still get confused.
We're gonna take some of that out. First thing we're gonna do is take this out.
Oh, because that's crossing over. It's just messy, right?
Yeah.
So that
It doesn't really allow for any light exposure or air movement. You know, we want to make sure that we can get as much exposure and air movement in here as we can to ripen up a nice crop of fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed last season it was quite difficult to get in there sometimes.
Yeah.
And get that fruit.
Let's see.
Yeah, something you were telling me is that sun exposure for an apricot, you want it to be nice and sweet.
Yep.
Right. So you want that nice.
That's gonna give you sweet flavor.
There you go. Already the shape is looking better, the overall structure. And then we have still some thinning to do.
You just want to kind of give it a balance so that there's no areas on the tree where there's just too much growth and you know, not enough light.
A lot of little bitty branches that aren't super productive in here. On this, Tom, would you ever come in and just decide between these two low guys which one to remove, or is it there's enough balance in that you're fine?
I think there's enough balance in there that I would leave it alone. I think we can take.
That one guy.
This guy out.
Yeah.
That out.
And then take some of these little guys out there.
So that makes a big difference structurally right there.
Yeah, no, it really does. Take that one off.
And you notice, Kevin, the way that I like to prune a tree
Yeah.
is I walk around it
Yeah,
several
'cause
times. I
different
keep
angle.
walking around, looking at different angles. Every time you make a couple of cuts and you walk around the tree, you'll see something else.
Yeah.
So
That's for
I
sure
wasn't
true.
paying attention to this, but obviously just an inward growing branch that we don't need. So we'll take that out. Kind of do the same right here.
3 here. And time of year, Tom, for something like this, deciduous, it's end of January, it's a pretty good time.
This is a good time as long as the weather is like it is today in your favor.
Okay.
See, apricots and cherries in particular, it's very easy when there's a lot of moisture in the air, a lot of humidity at night to spread some of the bacterial issues like eutyphus. So
Yeah.
if this was an overcast, drizzly day, I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
In fact, the commercial apricot growers now and the commercial cherry growers have almost completely gone away from wintertime pruning, and they do almost all their pruning now in September or October.
Interesting.
And
Just to avoid all that.
Just to avoid any of that disease spread. But we're talking a huge orchard of trees. We're not talking 1 or 2 backyard trees.
Yeah.
So as long as you're careful, have a couple of good days of sunshine, I have no problem pruning apricots or cherries
Okay.
this time of year. In fact, I just finished my cherries over the weekend. Just 3 days.
That's good to know. What would you do with this situation here? You see this branch coming off.
So yeah,
And you start seeing it just go crazy, right?
Yeah.
But when
Yeah.
I get confused is I can recognize the problem, it's too busy, but I don't actually know how to solve that problem because there's so much to decide.
So this is actually pleached together here.
So we're taking that off
Well, if we do that, we're going to have to take this and this
and
off,
this off because they're stuck.
which I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
I think that's probably a good move. So let's do it.
Okay.
And this is just to kind of, let's change that over.
There we go. So already we've simplified that quite a bit.
Yeah.
And would you come in and, make decisions on this?
So what we want to look for, this is going to be spur wood. This is going to give us some fruit.
Yep.
So what we want to look for is the dead wood.
Yeah.
You can see the difference in color. Those are kind of gray. They don't have that brown
Nice green
tone
sort of
to 'em, or
vibrancy.
greenish tone. So
Yeah.
anything that looks dry and desiccated like that, just pop that out.
So all that can come out, but this remains because we got a
Yeah,
little green
I'd
at the
leave that
tip.
in.
Yeah. So all that. Yeah, I mean that helps quite a bit. And sorry to keep going on this one, but this length here, this is going to produce new spurs for the next year.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
So leave this as long as I want options here.
Or you want to take it back by half?
Could
That's
go here.
Perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, that's totally
Yeah.
fine. Because I know I've got a greenhouse here. I don't really want to run into, right?
Same thing right here. Let's
Yeah.
take that back.
Interesting.
You
Okay.
know, same thing
Might
right
do
here.
that here.
This, you made a nice summer cut here, but this isn't production wood, so let's bring it back down to a point.
So we're setting us up for next year's.
Right, and we're cutting right at this bud and this bud, so our next flush of growth is going to come this way.
Right.
So
Similar
we
to like
want
a
to
rose
bring it
pruning.
out from the center instead of pushing it back in toward the center.
And then this is spur wood for this
Yes,
season.
That's fruit for this season.
And if I wanted to chill this out a bit, because theoretically I could have flowers on all this,
Take it back halfway.
I could go here.
Yep, absolutely.
Although an apricot can hold more fruit than, let's say, a peach could on the same branch,
yeah,
obviously.
and when you look at this, you've got a very sturdy branch here and just one small branch here. So
We're good.
But you probably still only want 3 or 4 fruit on that
Yeah.
section. So that was a worthwhile cut.
So here, similar logic. I've got so many options here.
Take it
Bring
back
it back
by
by
about
half. Yeah. Especially because apricot is a relatively short hang fruit
Yes.
that'll spoil really quickly once it drops. And
When when apricots start to ripen up, you've got 10 days to 2 weeks.
yeah. So I'm actually going to do a lot of these thin cuts then, because I don't personally need 300 apricot in 10 days.
No, I understand. Absolutely understand.
So then, let's say I've thinned spurwood by half. The next year, I'm not producing off of that anymore, but it could produce the next season.
You could actually produce off that for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So I already pruned this for summer, Tom, but if someone hasn't, what are they thinking about?
So you did exactly the right thing, Kevin.
Yeah.
You came in the summer and all you did was reduce the vigor.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not looking at trying to do any detail work in the summer. All you want to do is reduce the burden a little bit, take it back down to where it's manageable. And this will always be a perfectly manageable tree.
Yeah.
This is you're never going to allow this to get 10 or 15 feet tall. So every summer after you've harvested your crop, you basically come in and look for the long, vigorous whips, and you take those back down into the head structure itself.
Okay.
And then you walk away from it.
Yeah.
And then we come back in. You can do it in September. You can do it in October.
Yeah.
You can do it in any time through the fall months or even right now.
That was my exact idea, actually, is when we had done the summer pruning, it was late summer, so there were still leaves on the tree.
Yes.
And so all I could really do and see is just a vigor cut down. And my logic was actually to come back right about now and say, okay, let me clean those up.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Perfect.
Right.
So that's what we're doing now. We're bringing those back down a little bit more, taking the vigor back a little bit more, and just opening up so we get plenty of air movement and light exposure for that fruit to ripen up.
So when you see this could have been spur wood, but it's sort of desiccated.
It's a little old.
So you'd take it all the way back.
Yep.
Yeah.
You might as well take that off. So I don't really see, there's nothing else here that I would see that I want to do as a major cut.
Yeah.
This is a little thick over here. We could
Like bring this down a bit here.
do something
Like
else.
that, or?
Maybe take that out. Take this out a little bit. We can bring this back a little bit.
Yeah, because it's weird. This tree's, it's almost a big shrub almost.
It is a big shrub.
Because there's not a lot of trunk coming up before it starts to split out.
Right. It splits right off the graft union.
Yeah.
So you don't have a big trunk where you can climb this tree or anything, but that's why you want to keep this nice and manageable, easy to get to, easy to get in here and do your thinning when you want to do that.
I guess I'm fortunate that I didn't, just as a tree that was on the property, I'm fortunate that it didn't shoot out like a rootstock plant and I'm growing kind of two different apricots without knowing it, right? Because that could happen.
That absolutely could happen, but this all seems to be the same variety and growing above the bud union. It's probably a Blenheim or a Katy or something like that.
Sure.
It's going to give you that late June, early July fruit harvest, and
So
that's
good when it comes.
a great time for apricots.
So after this, I'm really just doing my little cleanup cuts, my little thinning trims, but I'm just sort of waiting now for spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So we could spend another hour on it if we wanted to and do all that little detail cleanup work.
Yeah.
But to me, this is perfectly acceptable.
Okay.
This is something that I would be comfortable walking away from and allowing it to fruit this spring.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah, my
Appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like this idea of taking your spur down by half, just pre-thinning basically.
Oh yeah.
It's really smart.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
all it is.
I didn't think about that.
Instead of coming through and one by one,
It's too labor intensive.
you've done a third of the job or half the job already.
Yeah.
This is just another great example, Kevin, of a tree that's been managed in a backyard orchard style. You've got plenty of fruit wood developed on it. Now you've got it, open, lacy, airy. You're going to get a really nice fruit set, and that fruit's going to ripen up to be good quality. If you need to get in here and do any thinning or any more detail work, it's all accessible and all easy to manage. So this is exactly the way we want to treat a tree like this. It'll be ready to go. It'll bloom in a few more weeks, and you're going to be eating apricots in May.
I can't wait. Thank you so much, Tom. It's been super helpful learning about that.
My pleasure.
All right.
Let's have fun with it. Let's grow some good quality fruit. If you like what you see, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And remember, keep growing with Tom Spellman.